Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Let me take this moment to reintroduce myself. I am the Gothic Rose, hostess of the Dark Entertainment Network. This is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories and makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. I do this because I enjoy it. If you like this type of content, please follow along, because I'm not going to stop. Jack the Ripper. Do we finally have his identity after 130 years? In a story that has captivated generations of crime solvers and serial killer aficionados alike, we have wondered, who is Jack the Ripper? Who was his identity? The man who got away with 5 murders of 5 different women in the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. So these 5 women are known as the canonical 5. They are Marianne Nichols, August 31st, 1888. Annie Chapman, September 8th, 1888. Elizabeth Stride, September 30th, 1888. Catherine Eddowes, September 30th, 1888. And Mary Jane Kelly, November 9th, 1888. All of Jack the Ripper's victims were prostitutes, and their bodies were found mutilated, indicating that the killer had some anatomical knowledge. Now, what struck me was that at the Catherine Eddowes murder site, there was a scarf with lots of blood on it, and a police officer picked it up. I know that this scarf ended up in the possession of collectors, which was then eventually tested, and DNA was found. So the scarf is owned by Catherine Eddowes' descendants. It was hidden away by the policeman who attended the murder scene and his descendants, and then it was purchased by Russell Edwards, a historical crime enthusiast, in 2007, and Edwards had the scarf tested for the DNA, which led to this claim that Aaron Kaminsky was Jack the Ripper, which is very interesting because if these women were prostitutes, there could have been multiple male DNA on that scarf. Now, there have been rumors about so many people. It could have been a doctor, it could have been a midwife. Just so much gossip as to who it could have been besides this Polish barber named Aaron Kaminsky, who was, ironically, a patient in a lunatic asylum. There's also Montague John Druitt, a barrister and teacher who was dismissed from his job in 1888 and later found dead in the Thames. There was Michael Ostrog, a Russian-born thief and confidence trickster with a history of mental illness. There was James Maybrick, a Liverpool cotton merchant whose wife claims he confessed to being Jack the Ripper in a diary. Francis Tumblety, an American quack doctor with a history of violence against women. Walter Sickert, a German-born painter who was linked to the murders by some theories. And of course, Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence, a member of the British royal family, though this theory is widely discredited, but there was another man who came forward named Jeff Mudgett. Jeff Mudgett is a descendant of H.H. Holmes. He is the great-great-grandson of H.H. Holmes, and he explored this particular theory in his book Bloodstains. And there was a show on the History Channel called American Ripper, which I remember watching the series, where Jeff Mudgett teamed up with former CIA operative Amaryllis Fox to investigate the possibility that H.H. Holmes was also Jack the Ripper, but they found no evidence. It was a really interesting theory from Jeff Mudgett because he believed that his relative, his great-great-grandfather, H.H. Holmes, had traveled to London in 1888 during the time of these Whitechapel murders. I do remember they even exhumed his grave to get some DNA, but I believe that it was not viable. So, just a little history onto H.H. Holmes. He was born Herman Webster Mudgett on May 16th, 1861, in Gilmanton, New Hampshire, and he was one of America's first documented serial killers, known for his elaborate schemes and his infamous murder castle in Chicago during the World's Fair. So Holmes had showed a great interest in medicine from a young age and attended medical school at the University of Michigan. And he built this murder castle, right? This labyrinth structure in Chicago. And it was equipped with secret passages, trapdoors, soundproof rooms, and a basement with acid vats and a crematorium. And Holmes is believed to have killed at least 9 people, but there are estimates. People have suggested that he may have killed as many as 200. And his crimes also include insurance fraud, bigamy, and murder. And I know that he took 3 children from their mother and murdered all 3 of them, 2 girls and a boy. So H.H. Holmes was arrested in 1894 and he confessed to 27 murders and was executed by hanging on May 7th in 1896. So there was no proof that he at all was Jack the Ripper, although it was a great theory because of the medical training and the fact that he did travel from the United States to London in that time of year, late summer in 1888. Now, remember, once Jack the Ripper started to make headlines in the newspapers as this crazed killer, he wrote to the police the Dear Boss letter. This is one of the most well-known pieces of evidence associated with this case. The letter was sent to the Central News Agency in London on September 27th, 1888, right in the middle of these murders, and is signed Jack the Ripper, and that is how he became known as Jack the Ripper. He coined that phrase himself. So, of course, this letter boasts about the murders and even mentions the possibility of cutting off a victim's ear. And these are details that some people, including the police, believe only the true killer would know. But a lot of people think it may have been a hoax written by a journalist to stir up the story and sell more papers. Anything is possible. We know that in this day and age. Now remember, this letter was written in red ink, and it was referred to as the proper red stuff. So you wonder, was it red ink? Or did he write it in blood, which I think would have turned brown, so maybe not, but it's weird that in 1888, this serial killer chose to write to the police, taunt the police, and find red ink. So this letter, it reads, Dear Boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they looked so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue, so I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope, ha ha. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ear off and send it to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. So this guy was very, very bold, thinking he would not get caught, and he didn't. And Jack kept writing. So on September 30th, 1888, there was a message written on a wall which is believed to have been written by Jack the Ripper after the murder of Catherine Eddowes, the woman whose scarf was taken by the police officer. The message was found in Gloucester Street, Whitechapel, and read, and this is a very strange spelling. The police officer wrote it down and then erased it, and it said the Jewess are the men that will not be blamed for nothing. And he spelled this word Jewes. And of course, this message has been subject to so much debate over the years. And what is its meaning? And was it actually written by Jack the Ripper? It could have been written by a kid for all we know, but it could have been written by Jack the Ripper. But he did such strange things and got away with all of these murders. Now, saying that it is the Polish barber, it could very well be true because he most notably spent time in an insane asylum, but that also doesn't mean that he didn't meet up with a prostitute here and there. And I have a feeling that a lot of these women had a lot of DNA all over all of their clothing and shawls and everything. Not saying that it wasn't this Polish barber, but truly, we will never know. We do know that it was not H.H. Holmes. And in case you were wondering, the song Mac the Knife is not about Jack the Ripper, originally titled Die Moratat von Mackie Messer. It's actually about a fictional character named McHeath, or Mackie Messer in German. McHeath is a central character in the three-penny opera, German Die Dragenschoper, a 1928 musical by Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill. So the Mac the Knife song does not at all refer to Jack the Ripper. I just had to put that out there because that's probably the reason I became interested in Jack the Ripper. I heard the song and I was like, why would they write a song about a man that ripped women to pieces with a knife? Well, they didn't, but that is what got me, I guess, interested in the story. The reason I do like to watch serial killer documentaries and read books about them, and I do have an obsession with them, is to know what to look for to avoid them. I think this is why many women do this subconsciously. This is why we have that obsession. So, if you're a reader like I am, there are lots of great books here about Jack the Ripper. We've got From Hell by Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell. And this is a graphic novel that presents a fictionalized account of the Ripper murders, blending historical facts with conspiracy theories. Exactly what I do, my kind of book. This is another one is Portrait of a Killer, Jack the Ripper Case Closed by Patricia Cornwell, a nonfiction book where the author presents her theory that artist Walter Sickert was Jack the Ripper. Then we've got The Complete Jack the Ripper by Donald Rumbelow, a comprehensive guide to the Ripper murders, including detailed information about the victims, investigations, and suspects. I believe that's the one that I read. The Five Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Rubenhold. And this book focuses on the lives of the canonical five victims, offering a fresh perspective on their backgrounds and social conditions of the time. There is Jack the Ripper, Letters from Hell by Stuart P. Evans, a collection of the infamous letters supposedly written by Jack the Ripper, along with an analysis of their authenticity and content. There is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerry Maniscalco, a young adult fiction series that follows a young woman studying medicine in Victorian London who becomes involved in investigating the Ripper murders. And the last one I will mention is The Candle Man by Alex Scarrow, a novel that imagines Sherlock Holmes hunting down the Ripper with historical accuracy and attention to detail. All of these books sound amazing, and I happen to love books about Jack the Ripper, all kinds of information. I think it's one of the most compelling stories of our time that over 130 years later, we are still talking about it. We're talking about who his identity could have been. We're still doubting, even though we have DNA, we're still doubting that that DNA is the actual killer. Just thinking of what these women did for their profession. Lots of men went in and out. Maybe some women too. We really have no idea. But the fact is, it was not H.H. Holmes, who is one of America's most infamous serial killers. This was someone, absolutely, it seems, in Europe who probably lived there. So it's probably closer to, the Polish barber or one of the other suspects. Personally, I believe it was absolutely none of them, and we will never learn Jack the Ripper's true identity. But I absolutely think that this is a really important story to keep talking about, because this person got away with 5 murders of 5 different women and did this with such precision and gore and vileness in their heart. And they loved it. According to that letter, they loved their work. And I think that that's why this story has transcended time. I always felt that Catherine Eddowes' scarf would definitely lead to some kind of DNA match. But again, I'm a little skeptical on saying that this is the exact identity of Jack the Ripper. Like I said, just judging by her profession. With that, I thank you for joining me for the Dark Tales in the Den, and I will see you on the next episode.